So this is Sabrina, who's kindly chatting to me from her sofa. Sabrina, how do we know each other? Why did I get involved in coaching you?
Well, I'm a run coach too, and I've known you good couple of years now, obviously from Stroud Athletics Club, and I always considered you as one of the fast boys, like knocking on that really unachievable time for me door. And then I heard on the grapevine, and I think via your social media, that you were coaching and you were looking to kind of increase coaching clients. And I think I just really liked like when we'd spoken, I liked your approach and I liked your honesty.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I think we spoke, I think we met for coffee to speak about kind of mutually kind of benefit like marketing stuff and and you just said, if you've ever got any questions about coaching, like let's help each other if I've got questions about marketing and stuff.
Yeah,
And
that
I
was
just
it. When
left
we
that.
when we were chatting about that, it was mainly because you were established as a sort of PT
Yeah,
and coaching others, and I
yeah.
was trying to get more established, and it was just a catch up, have a brew.
It was just, yeah, it was literally just that. It was like, let's
Yeah.
share some expertise.
I never
And I can
expected to
remember,
end up coaching you after that coffee.
well, I left that meeting thinking, you know what, like that was, yeah, I left that meeting because I had come off UTMB, I'd come off DNFing TDS. So I'm
Okay.
an ultra runner. Like ultra running is a big part of my life. So I'd come off DNFing TDS, which is Tour de Savoy, and it's a UTMB race. And I was in just this bit of this thing. Oh, hello,
Well, I
hello.
just thought we should put that picture up while you're talking about
Oh,
because the great thing
that
about you, Sabrina, is you tell everything about your running journey and everything else. So when I was digging up how did it go, what was the journey, I've got loads and loads of content. But that was the shot at the end of MDS, right? Marathon de Sable.
yeah, yeah, it was. Yeah, it's a really special photo to me. I don't have a lot of photos of my ultra running achievements around the house. I mean, it's always my plan to frame them, but I mean, I'm gonna start crying now. I'm so sorry,
Oh,
John. I'm just like I'm in
it's
that
real.
zone, but
It's real.
it was the culmination of 2 years of training to get to that
Yeah.
stage. And Patrick Bauer is the daddy of MDS. He started it 35 years ago, and you
Oh, that's
don't get
Patrick.
to.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's Patrick. So you don't get to have the kiss, as they call it, from Patrick and the hug with until you finish every single stage of MDS. And I was broken then, but I was so proud that everything and all the hard work had come together to allow me to finish,
It's amazing.
13th UK woman to finish MDS 2018. And it's a very, very, very special race to me. And I'll definitely be going back one day.
I mean, yeah, umpteen days across the Sahara Desert. Like you've done that in 2018 with your People's Republic of Stroud pin badge, by the way.
Oh,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Always
Like
with me. Stroud's always
tattoo
with
on the
me.
shoulder, and you're also coaching other people. So there was kind of no pressure at all when you said to me that you wanted me to coach you. It was like I thought I'm going to have to up my game here. I've been coaching for free at Stroud Athletics Club. I've been helping people and coaching people online who had sort of all sorts of different marathon goals. And then you said you wanted to get involved. I was like, oh, bloody hell. I'm going to have to do this proper.
Oh, that's great. I can remember having that done that day. That really hurt, that MDS tattoo. And it's
Bless you.
funny because I forget that it's there. And then we were in Chamonix last year when we went over the week for UTMB, and we were on this cable car going up to up very high. I forget what the mountain top was called, to kind of acclimate to
Yeah.
the low oxygen. And then
Try not to
somebody like
pass
tapped me on
out.
the shoulder and yeah, somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Oh, you've done the marathon to Sodom." I was like, "How did they know?" And then I remembered I had the tattoo on my back.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
Yeah,
your 2019, what this is Power of 10 I'm showing now, but before I go into
yeah.
that, like your 20, what did you do in 2019 and what was it? What were your goals for spring 2020?
So 2019 was very much in June. In 2019, I decided I wanted to experience the mountains. So I trained under an elite ultra runner called Damien Hall for a 50. It's called UTS 50, which is Ultra Trail Snowdonia 50. So in June, I attempted that, and I've been having some real bad issues going over on my ankle in spring 2019, and I went to do UTS, and at 33 miles I went over on my ankle, and that meant that I couldn't go any further. Then I kind of dealt with having an ankle injury and still training to go to UTMB. And this is all going to sound awful. So then I went to UTMB, did TDS, got how many miles into TDS did I get? I got about 40 miles into TDS.
40 out of how many?
Out of TDS was, how long was the race? It's like 80. No, it's like 88 miles TDS, but
You're a
it's like
quitter.
8,000.
You need to be more hard on yourself.
Yeah. And it was like
Give an insight
8,000.
into how I am as a coach, right?
Yeah. It was 8,000 meters of ascent. It was, they call it basically, they said, a lot of people say TDS is harder than UTMB because actually in terms of technical terrain.
And it's so hard to train on that terrain if you don't live in the Alps or the Pyrenees or those kind of mountains.
I mean, I'm very fortunate in the sense of one of my very good friends has a flat in Chamonix. And so I went over to train 3 times before the race. We did a race, Grand Trail Courmayeur. I did as like a warm-up race after UTS, which was 55k, and I completed that, and that just gave me a bit of confidence that okay, I've kind of completed a race in the Alps. But TDS was just, I mean, it was just something else. And yeah, you know, when I got to the point where I was like, I went very dark, and I mean, now I think
you've got to know why you're there, and you've got to know why you're pushing yourself. And I did my time ultra running, and it'll come back again at some point. But for me, I really like that quote of only those who push themselves too far, kind of thing, really know how far they can go. And I think you've got to have a reason for doing it. You've got to know why you're going into those hard, dark places. And
absolutely.
And also, and it was sometimes you've got to be prepared to try things that you don't know if you can achieve or not. And be prepared to learn from that.
Yeah. And my motto is like, in my especially in my ultra running and in my marathon training this year that I went through with you as well. It's like, you know, you've got to put yourself there. You've got to put yourself in really uncomfortable positions to understand actually where that point is that is your limit or your perceived limit. And I believe the best lessons I've learned in my life are from times that I've failed at things. And I think when I was doing TDS last year and UTS, I was doing it for reasons that weren't necessarily true to myself. So I've got quite a few friends that do mountain races and are quite good at doing mountain races. And I think that I felt as if I had kind of something to tick off. Whereas going back this year, because I want to go back to UTMB again as well, but I need the right points. Like for me now, it's like there's unfinished business. So there's a real
targets, unfinished business, tick lists. You're a coach's dream.
Yeah. So it's unfinished business. So if UTS is on in September, then there will be no not doing it because that is not an option.
I've got a couple of those, but I'll get through the sleepless nights with the young kids first.
But going back to why I chose the marathon. So after I got back from UTMB, I was like, right, what were my takeaways from the lessons I learned? So I spoke to Damien Hall, my coach, and then I said, look, I feel I really need to get faster on tired legs. So I felt going through a training cycle of training for a good for age time in a marathon would give me good training to be running still at a decent pace on tired legs, which will translate to the mountains in terms of aerobic capacity and in terms of, when being able to run the runnable bits
It's
at a decent
fantastic that
pace.
you're able to break it down into those chunks. What do I need to achieve over the next 6 month block
Yeah,
in order that I can achieve something in the next 6 month block in order that
absolutely.
eventually I can go back and achieve awesome,
Yeah,
untouchable things. And
yeah,
endurance running is so about that. It takes years to
yeah,
build up endurance, as you know. And
yeah,
probably you and me will do a talking heads thing about that another time about all the things we
yeah.
know and don't know. But your marathon journey on your Power of 10, you had your first crack officially in 2011.
My God, yeah, that was.
Look at that 407 debut. You're not
I
shit.
know. I know. I couldn't. You know what? But I was so disappointed with that because I was training. It's my first ever marathon in Edinburgh. So my mum's Scottish. She was born in a little mining town called Salisbury, which is about 45 minutes outside Edinburgh.
Hmm.
So kind of, I thought I'll do Edinburgh Marathon and see the family, and I was doing really really well. And in Edinburgh, I don't know if have you ever done Edinburgh Marathon? You
No, have
kind
you
of
got a
go.
bit of a downhill
It's
first couple of miles?
yeah, and then you go out along Musselburgh seafront, and then you
Cheating.
loop back on yourself. So it's basically an out and back. And
With
on
a
the back,
downhill
the
start, it's
headwind.
cheating.
Yeah, I know. But on the back, there was like headwind. Anyway, I totally lost it at the end. As a lot of you people do at the end of marathons.
Yeah, it's very, very
And
good.
but 4:07:39 for my first was really decent. But I can remember just feeling disappointed.
Yeah. So then we sort of tick along, and your half marathon dipped down to 146, but then your halves kind of sort of
Yeah,
plateauing in the 155 to 2 hour bracket. And
yeah.
2017, you've got a 3:51:55 marathon. And
I
we
did.
should say that
Yeah,
good for age for you now to qualify for London on
yeah,
performance is what,
yeah,
3:45?
yeah, yeah. 3:45. Well, yeah, 3:45.
So we talked about it when your most recent half time was 1:54,
Yeah,
and you wanted to be able to run a marathon quicker than you'd recently run a half marathon.
yeah,
It was like,
yeah.
yeah, all right, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I know.
You're not going
I
to
don't know
like
what.
it, but we'll do it. It's going to be
I
hard work,
know.
but we'll do it.
Yeah, I know. It was just like, I don't even know. I just, I had this time in my, I was like, for so many years, like knocking on the door at Dublin, because that was Dublin. I can remember that 3:51:55 was in Dublin, and I was not training for a sub 4 marathon.
Hmm.
And that was when I was in the depths of Dublin was October, so it was like MDS was the following April. And I just went over there for a jolly. I was just like, oh, I'll just go over, do Dublin Marathon with a mate, weekend in Dublin, never been. And I can remember I felt on fire when I was doing that Dublin Marathon. And then to come over the line, and my mate was like, you're like knocking on the door of three. And I was like, no, I'm not. Couldn't
Yeah,
believe it.
we did it though. Look, like,
I know,
let's
I
not
know.
prattle on for hours.
3:43.
3:43. I'm just chuffed to bits.
Yeah, I know. I honestly, I was so gutted when obviously I was supposed to do Manchester, wasn't I?
That's it.
And, oh my God, yeah, Christ, here's the bloody video here and all.
That's it. She's just tapping out at mile 6. So I'm so impressed
Oh
because
my
this was,
God.
what was this? This was a time trial set off at like
Yeah,
7 a.m.
we settled, no, I think it was like, I don't know, I think we started at like 6:30.
Unbelievable.
With my husband, because my husband was my crew. So like Neil he's a triathlete, and so he was on his bike with the camera, and yeah, I couldn't have done it without. I mean, it was a godsend having him there. But yeah, it was. You know
Just
what, the
trotting right
conditions
there.
were
Oh, you're quite
perfect.
happy here at 9 miles.
I was loving it at 9 miles. Look at me
Well,
go.
I've put this on because I think, well, not to see his technical difficulties, but this isn't the way most people run a marathon.
I
And
know.
look at this is like mile 22, 23 here. Look at your running form. You're still going at it.
Yeah, I just wanted it so badly. I wanted it so badly.
That was
I wanted it
amazing.
to be over as well, so
Oh
badly.
God,
But
at that point, everyone does. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, oh my God, yeah.
And
I
this
can
is the
remember
point
that.
where you basically know you've done it. You know you've
Yeah,
done it
I
here, and you
know.
keep
I
going.
know. I know because I just wanted on that Garmin, I wanted it to go over
Yeah.
26.2 so that when it uploaded to Garmin and Strava, it was, there was no, So I was like, head for the van. head for the van. It was like the van.
Get
Oh my
there. That's
God.
your finish line. Awesome. Absolutely
Oh.
awesome. And I think there must have been a long time during that run where you knew you were going to do it.
I think when I was managing to hold pace and I got to I think when I got to it's that thing and it got to 20 miles and the race actually started,
Yeah.
and I got to 20 miles, I was like, right, I've held the pace that obviously we had been training for. And I can remember you saying to me like the A, B, and C plan.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I love a plan A, B, and
And
C.
that's it. And for ages, I was like, I don't need an A, B, and C plan. I don't. And then, but like a couple of days before, you had said, well, so what's your A, B, and C plan? And I still don't think I'd formulated it. And you gave me like, you gave me tips. You were like, well, it could be this. And then if you get tired at 20 and if you can still hold like the 9 minute mile, and so I'd have that in my head. So when
Yeah.
I got to 20 and I could
And
feel
that's
like, oh,
exactly what you did. The last 3 or 4 miles
yeah,
were like 8:55, 8:56,
yes,
8:57. And I
because in
knew
my
just by
head I
looking
had
at it, you were
you.
hurting like hell, but you were not
because
going to
I
run over 9 minutes.
because I had you in my head and I could
No.
just remember you saying like, and even if, the A is like all the, and I was like, okay, so don't, just come on, Sabrina, just stay tall, just pump the arms, just, the legs will do what the arms do. And I was like, look at the watch, like, don't go over 9, don't go over 9.
Because your
And it,
brain goes a bit foggy at that point. You've not got enough
yeah,
sugar and you need something to fight for when, yeah.
yeah, you've got to have something to fight for. And I think that
I think we
knowing
set you
that,
out on like a 3:41 schedule or something with your
yeah,
kind of pace.
yeah, and I felt really good at that until you start not feeling good at that, and you're like, I can remember Neil saying, oh, he was constantly saying like every form, like how are you feeling, and and I was like, yeah, I feel great, and I can remember I was going up and like an incline because I'd added on the turn, I'd added this kind of little incline and then turned back on myself, and then I was like, oh no, this feels good even going uphill. And then there was just that point where I was like, okay, I'm starting to get tired. And like Neil was asking me, and I was like, a bit tired. And then all of the fuel that I took. So I like drinking when I'm doing ultras. I like flat Coke. It's like just amber, just nectar for ultra runners, flat Coke. And I got like 6 bottles of flat Coke and Neil had them in his backpack
You'd
on the bike.
pre-flatted it.
He'd pre-flatted it, and
Amazing.
I didn't want it. I didn't want it. All I wanted was the water that he'd bought for himself. He was like, "Do you want some Coke?" I was like, "No." All I wanted was water
Oh, you've got to
because I
listen
was
to your
having,
body sometimes.
yeah.
It tells you what you need, I think.
It was like I just needed the hydration, and yeah, I think not. I think if I hadn't had that guidance from you in terms of your voice in my head saying like, we can still do this, we can still dip under it if you get tired, you've got that bang. I think if I hadn't had that, the darkness might have started to fall in terms of me thinking you've lost it.
Your entire
So
body's telling you to
therefore,
stop, give up.
yeah,
This
therefore
is
I think I would have
pointless. You're
stopped. I
just
think
running
I
around
would
the
have,
back lanes of Gloucestershire. What are you even doing? Just get in
yeah,
the van. Just
exactly.
stop. Just
Yeah,
go home,
yeah,
get a pizza. It's pointless.
totally,
And you
totally,
have to
totally.
have a
Because,
predetermined plan to get over that. Yeah, the marathon's
yeah, yeah, totally.
So, last thing about sort of time trial day, obviously, yeah, if you're looking for a coach that lets his wife cut his hair during lockdown, that's not me, hence this non-aerodynamic thing going on. But we're totally in lockdown. All your races got cancelled. You go out
Yeah,
and you run a 3:43 on your own with your husband and the local wildlife to witness it. Like,
pheasants, loads
how
of
did it
pheasants.
feel at the end? Because on your video, there's sort of mixed emotions when you talk about it.
It There was a sense of disbelief. I think there was a sense of like looking down at my watch, like I've gone under 3:45. Like I would have, like if this had been an official race, like I would be able to get a London Good for Age, that forum. And there was this sense of disbelief, but there was this sense of pride actually that on a course on my own, early in the morning on a Saturday, keeping it really low key because we were in lockdown and I didn't want any kind of negative social media kind of thing. I'd gone out and recce this route and made sure that
Yeah, you were
it was
really
as safe
sensible
as I
about
could
it.
make it. And I just it great, it felt like such a great
I think
achievement.
it was a really pure achievement, and
Yeah,
it caused me to question what we do any of this for anyway. Because are
yeah,
we really doing
yeah,
it for the sort of ego boost of getting a letter from London Marathon and, oh, we're good for age now? Or are we doing it because we
yeah.
like improving and we want to set ourselves difficult hurdles? And
Yeah, and I think, yeah, I think I initially thought I was doing it for the piece of paper, but then on reflecting on it since and later on that day, it was like I can really take my body to, you know how I felt about some of those speed sessions, I can really take my body to a really uncomfortable place training in order to deliver on the day. And
yeah,
that confidence that I now take into and I've taken into like this next phase of mountain training is like, Sabrina, like, like in training, that is the time to be hurting or to be
oh, it's great to hear.
thinking, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be sick. No, you're not going to be. I am going to be sick. I can't. My body can't do it. And to finish a session and each of, especially those speed sessions, where I was really like, because I hadn't been used to doing anything like that. Like I hadn't been used to, ultra runner, like slow, and I'd had that in my head. So now actually within my ultra training, what I've taken from you, actually, I think, it my perfect world is that I would have you and Damien, and you would be like go and do the session, smash on these, and Damien
And
would
don't
be like,
take
right,
your
go and
dog.
run in the
Don't take your bloody dog. Don't make your dog do the
don't
prep.
take the dog. This now is not the time to take the dog. Leave the dog at home. Right? The dog. But I've taken that and I've told Damien, Damien for the mountains. I'm like, I don't want to lose the intervals element of my training because I feel more confident knowing that I can go out and I can, the other day I knocked on the door of like 6:58 and I've never done that when I've been,
Well,
yeah, it
yeah,
was only a
you've
two.
got to work all the gears. I mean, a huge amount of my training ideas is based on easy running. We did loads of that at the start and built up that base of easy running and got you used to working at an easy, really easy intensity
Yeah,
so that when we were adding in lactate threshold stuff and interval stuff, your body was already handling 40 odd miles a week. And we didn't
yeah.
really up the mileage much more than that, but we added intensity on, and that was the whole kind of progression that we went through,
That
wasn't it?
was,
It's
yeah, that
probably a
was
good
really,
point to show the reason that you actually achieved this. Um, let's do my screen sharing thing again. So, like, this is your like miles per week in Strava. Just look at this, knocking out 35, 40-mile weeks for what,
yeah,
5, 6 months? Awesome.
yeah. Because we started quite early. Because yeah, as you say, like we started working together. Was it late October, early
No,
October,
I think it was more November time,
or
and I
was it?
think, well, I can see where it was. It was this week
Yeah,
here.
there,
See where
isn't
it
it?
pops up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
But those early weeks, it was a lot about just putting the volume in and getting you used to upping the mileage because September and October you'd had a fairly easy time. It was trying
yeah,
to get you back into this kind of mileage that you've been doing in the summer.
yeah.
And yeah, we put proper periods into the training. So we started with base building and all that jazz that I've got lots of
And it
boring
was,
blogs written about. But I think you've talked a little bit about not necessarily doing the intervals and stuff before, but what do you think made a difference this time compared to your previous marathons? What got you under 3:43?
getting comfortable being uncomfortable,
Oh, that's interesting.
and I think that came from, I know I can go long. I know, I'm a long distance runner, but there's a very big difference between going long and going slow and going, 26.2 miles and actually going fast. And I had to, in all the training, it was about building up my own confidence in myself that, with the intervals, like I can remember when you said to me, like some of those interval sessions, and I'd see them in the coaching, in final surge, and I'd be like, I can't do 7.5 minute miles for 3 miles. Like I can't. And then he's only
But
given
we'd
me like a
exchange
2 minute.
messages, wouldn't we? Like, I'm not really feeling great, so I'm wondering whether I should go out today or not.
You're
And
like,
I'm like, are you injured?
are
Like,
you injured?
genuinely, because I don't want you to be hurting yourself. Don't go out if you're
Yeah,
injured. You're
yeah.
like, no,
That's
just
like,
feeling a bit meh. It's like, well,
it's
go
just,
run 2 miles and then tell me how you feel.
I know, I can remember one night and it was so wet and windy, and I was like, can I just change the session? Can I just do it tomorrow? You were like, well, are you injured? I'm like, no, I'm just really tired. And you were like, go out and do 2 miles and see how you feel after that.
Yeah.
But I think it was understanding my body more in terms of, yeah, getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, running in at a speed that I had felt was unachievable before I started working with you.
And we changed that
That's
speed as we went through. So when we were doing threshold work, I had you run some kind of timed 5Ks, right?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I think there's even 5K PBs started happening amongst some of this stuff.
yeah, yeah. It did. It
Sabrina's
did.
5K PB 2020
Yeah,
whilst doing marathon training.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. And I think I was at Park. That was Park Run, and I was like, I've never been like first in my age category, and I was like third lady, and although 23:10 for some runners, that's for some women runners, that's still slow. But for me, like to do that, it just gave me such confidence, like that I can challenge what my own perceived limits are. Do you
Yeah.
know?
Because
And that's what.
what we were trying to do was get you confident, not just in running, but in the training process that we were going through, and prove
Yeah,
with little milestones on the way through that you were improving.
yeah,
Because when you're asking yourself to go out running the wind and rain 40 odd miles a week with all the sacrifices that entails with family and work and everything else and fitting it around all that, you have to bloody well believe it's going to work.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I guess I can say it was going to work because I've done it umpteen years on myself and I've trained other people. But I think one of the things I really, really was focused on doing with you was checking in. Is this working? Because
yeah.
I think we're all an experiment of one, and I think your body and how it reacts to training loads not the same as mine. And it was so important to me um, that I knew that the methods we were using were working for you, and that's why we were doing the sort of races on the way through. And from those 5Ks, we could then understand exactly what training paces you should be working at.
Yeah.
We could progress those training paces on the way through, and that's
And that's
essentially
what I
how we
like.
did it.
That I like that, and I still, oh my god, is that Wokingham?
That was the
That
next
is
thing I was going to talk about. Wokingham half marathon. It was blowing an absolute gale that
Oh,
day. It was
the
hideous,
weather
wasn't
was
it?
horrendous, wasn't it? Look at me with my sleeves on.
You looked so serious in that one, mate.
I know, honestly, my race photos, I always like look like. I mean, I guess I am because like I've done Wokingham a couple of times. I've Wokingham a couple of times before, and it was just it was such a big half marathon, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
all these half marathons had started like being cancelled, and it was like, oh look, no, let's like go down and do
Oh
Wokingham.
God, they were, weren't they? Because the weather was
Yeah,
so bad. Like
the
all the
weather was
marquees were blowing
awful.
away, and yeah.
Yeah, because I was supposed to do. I can't remember what marathon I was. Clonethley. That was I was supposed to do Clonethley, and then that had been cancelled because of the storms. And you were like, a few of us are going down to do Wokingham, so like, but so we came down and did it. And
But I didn't let you back your training off, did I?
no, you didn't.
I
You
was
were
like, well,
mean.
Wokingham's not the goal. Like, it's too close to your goal race. Like, you're not allowed
Yeah,
fresh
yeah.
legs. And it was blowing a gale, and you'd done a full block of training in advance of it, and ran your second fastest half marathon ever.
Yeah, yeah. And I know I
Awesome.
could, looking back now, I think if I had been on fresh legs, I would have got a PB.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right because it was the bigger picture we were looking at.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of my favorite. I like Wokingham. I like the course. I like it. I like it a lot. Um,
I loved this one. This is one of your best processes ever. Like, who's got the spring marathon blues? It's 6 weeks until Manchester, your A race. I'm at the phase of my plan where I'm going towards peak weeks. Training's consistent. Some sessions are super hard, but why am I even doing it? Like, you'd properly like,
I
uh,
know.
but you said that you trusted the process, but I think you were proper knackered at that point.
I
I
was
think
really tired. I was really tired. You know when you're on a November, I what 16 week training plan, whatever. It was just like, yeah, you just get to the point where you're like, okay, what are we doing this week? Right, where are we this week? Right, what's the long run this week? What are the sessions this week? Yeah, I think 6 weeks out, you're just like, oh, come on, marathon. And then there was so much uncertainty over what was going to happen, wasn't it? Like whether these spring marathons were going to go ahead, and then you're just, and then you do say to yourself, oh, quite a few people actually had started who I was supposed to be like traveling to Manchester with had started like stop training at that point. They were like, it ain't going to happen. And I was like, you know what? I've put so much into this. It's about so much more than just an official marathon time. I've got to, if I start on a plan, I've got to complete it.
Yeah,
And I
I
knew that
really
I would do
enjoyed
a
that.
time trial, and I knew that I would do a time trial, and because it's not the training for me is not just about the, of course, the race is important, but I run for my mental health as well, and I run in order to lose myself, and I run in order to challenge myself. So for me to say, oh well, the marathon's not going to happen, I'm just going to stop there, that's not me. That's not the person that I am.
Yeah,
So
no, I think that's one of the reasons that we get on outside of the runner coach relationship, because we both talk about how running helps mental health, how it helps manage anxiety and stress, how getting out in the outdoors is just blinking
oh,
awesome.
it's
Um,
awesome.
and it's part of what got me hooked about 8, 9 years ago. Yeah, totally get it. So we've done it then. We've just gone and run Wokingham Half. We've trusted the process. You've hit a 20-miler PB as well, I think, in the process,
I
I saw.
didn't I? Oh, that was a great race. That was the last race before everything stopped. That was Gloucester 20, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I felt awesome. I felt amazing. Honestly, I don't think I told you, but two of my one of my MDS mates from Froome came up and did that race, and we had this friendly rivalry, me and Emily. Um, we're just both strong women, and we like to achieve. And
Mm-hmm.
she's very high up in the NHS and everything like that. And anyway, she was looking good. She was feeling good. She set off fast, but I was like, I knew what paces I need to do, and you and I had worked them out, and we were like, do this pace until you get to here, and then if you've got it, like, push on towards the end. And I think about 4 miles out, she'd gone ahead, and I hadn't seen her, and then about 4 miles out, like, I was starting to pick up, is that Emily on the side of the road?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was having a mare, and
Fun.
I was just like, do you want me to stop? She was like, no, no. And
Oh, goodness.
I loved it. I just felt so good coming in that race. I felt amazing. I felt really good. And it was
It
a
was good
horrible
fun.
weather.
It was great fun. I love how much of it all you can recall, because we're in June now, and yeah, it was a heck of a process. So yeah, thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Um,
No problem. It was honestly, it was just such a such a great experience, like working with you. And you are, I've worked with one, two, three. I've worked with one, two, three, four, five coaches in my time, because I like to, although I am a coach, I like to be coached. There's a power in coaching, and there's certainly for a coach who is in, like me, who's responsible for other people's training plans and taking groups out. I like my own training almost taken away, so I can
Makes
just
sense.
trust somebody else.
Yeah,
And
I've been coached by other people as well, and in a running context and other contexts. I think it's a fantastic way to
it's
learn.
powerful, yeah. And I think that I really enjoy. I like your. I call it, when I talk to people about your coaching, there's like no bullshit approach. Like you kind of just don't allow the bullshit, and I like that. Although it's hard at the time, it's like, oh, well, I don't want to run today. I don't want to go out running today, and like it's
I,
just
I
like,
like
no,
to I like to think I'm caring as well, though. I mean, it's not like a rubber steel stuff, but
no, it's not. But you have an ability to ask the right questions in order to
oh,
cut
thank you,
through
thank you.
the bullshit, and that's really important for somebody like me, because I will say, if I don't want to do that session today, oh, can I change it to tomorrow? And if you were to come back to me, like other coaches have, and said, oh yeah, that's all right, you can do that. But you ask the questions: are you injured? Are you very, very tired? And then you said, well, go out and do it and see how you feel. because there's a reason that this session is on this day.
Hmm.
And I think that that's a really intelligent, thought out. That tells me this coach really knows what they're doing, because other coaches would have said, "Of course you can, of course you can swap days." And but you explained, like, there's a reason that we're doing it this way, Sabrina. And I don't want you to have. You
Hmm.
need to have this, and that was I like.
Oh, thank you. Because I think understanding some of the reasoning behind it all is really all part of helping people get why they're doing stuff. I think we should always know why we're doing a particular session, why we're doing it when we're doing it. It's not that there's not flexibility. Of course, there was flexibility on the way through. That's part of the burden a coach takes on. Like, you've got a big family event at the weekend. Like,
Yeah,
how do I rejig my training to optimize around that? But yeah, there was always a reason, because I work on a sort of hard, easy principle. You can't do too many hard days back to back because of the injury risk. Um, you want to be pushing the body, but you want to be allowing it to adapt and recover in between. Yeah, there was always reasons for why we were doing stuff on particular days. I'm glad that came across. Yeah.
yeah, it did. It did. I think it did, and it me asking the questions and you replying in that way made me feel really confident in the plan. And and obviously I understand the principles of coaching and everything like that, but I'm still just an athlete, an amateur athlete that's like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I miss, I don't want to go out, don't want to do it.
I'm exactly the same. It's
No, I'm
really hard
still
to be
just,
answerable to yourself. If you've committed to
yeah,
someone else that you're going to do a thing, if you've asked them what you should do, and then
yeah,
you go and do something else, like,
yeah,
it's not going to happen, is it? So I
no,
think that's
no,
the nugget of the sort of coach relationship, and that's why I've used coaches for stuff, because I just work better if I'm
yeah,
working with someone else, and
yeah.
I'm sort of partnering with them to achieve stuff. I've run out of things to talk about coaching
Yeah.
coaches now.